isn't just something that we feel in our hearts, it can also live in our minds. And our thoughts can race, repeat, replay memories and regrets like a loop that we feel like we can't escape. And in the middle of loss, those thoughts can feel so heavy. But there is another way. What if instead of trying to silence our minds, we could soften them and bring gentleness into the way we think during grieving? Welcome to Rising One Coaching. I'm Allison, your guide on this journey of lifestyle, wellness, and soulful living. And together we explore practices that nourish your body, calm your mind, and deepen your connection with spirit. So this week's videos are prompted from personal experience. We had to put our beloved kitty down last Thursday, and so we've been going through, my daughter and I and my oldest kiddo, we've been going through our own process of grieving that loss. It all happened very quickly. In about a week, she became very ill. We had to make some really hard decisions, but we know that she's at peace, so that also brings me peace. But as I've been experiencing this over the last 4 days or so, I really thought, I pull a lot of this content from my personal life and from inspirations from my life. So I know a lot of people have gone through grieving in some way, shape, or form in their lives, or eventually will if that hasn't happened yet. And I just wanted to offer some gentle practices today. So when we're grieving, our minds can often ask questions like, why did this happen? Could I have done something differently? What now? Life feels like it's going to change and be so different. Like, what now? And it can feel like our brains are searching for answers that don't exist. And that constant mental spinning can leave us just feeling exhausted. Some days you might even feel completely numb, as though your mind has shut down. Well, both are natural. Both are part of the grieving process. There's no judgment. The good thing is you don't have to be stuck in that space. We can begin to offer our thoughts a softer, more loving pathway. So let's take a look at a few gentle shifts for grieving minds. These are not full answers, but they can help process and begin to shift our minds into a much softer, warmer, loving space as we grieve. So shifting from why to be with me. One of the hardest questions is, why did this happen? Our minds circle it over and over, searching for an answer that doesn't exist. Well, the truth is, most of the time, there's not going to be a satisfying why, at least not one that we can see on this side of our existence. So instead of endlessly replaying the why and getting stuck in that mental loop, try turning it into a prayer. God, be with me in this. Universe, source, spirit, unconditionally loving energy, be with me in this. This is not going to take the pain away, but it does change the posture of your heart. And suddenly, instead of standing alone in an unanswerable question, now you're standing in the presence of God and unconditional love. And that presence promises never to leave us. So when that why rises up, you can pause, hand on heart, close your eyes, and simply breathe, be here with me. Now, why this helps? The mind searches for answers that keep us spinning in circles, but presence gives us something solid to hold on to. By shifting from analysis into prayer, we invite comfort into the confusion. God's presence won't explain everything, but it will steady you in the storm. And sometimes being held matters more than being answered. Our second shift is allowing the waves. So grief often arrives like the ocean. Some days the water's more calm and you can almost breathe normally. And then other days a wave rises up without warning and completely knocks you on your feet. I've definitely experienced this through grieving. So instead of thinking, why am I still crying? Shouldn't I be past this by now? Shift and instead try saying, this is a wave. I will let it move through me. And when the wave comes, pause and notice, where do I feel this in my body? Is it in my chest, in my throat? Is it in my belly? Then place one hand there, breathe deeply, and whisper, this is love moving through me. Now, blue jays are visiting the backyard. I just threw a bunch of peanuts out. So why this helps? Well, grief is not a sign that there's something wrong. It's a very natural current of love without a familiar form. By naming it as a wave, you honor the truth that each surge will rise, peak, and then eventually soften again. You begin to trust the rhythm of grief instead of fighting it. When we resist it, it becomes so much more difficult to move through. And slowly, the waves will become less about drowning in that ocean and more about remembering that love that still lives inside of us. Now, the third shift is speaking to yourself as you would a friend. In grief, our inner voice can sometimes be really harsh. We tell ourselves things like, I should be stronger now. I shouldn't cry so much. So many shoulds. But would you ever say those things to a dear friend of yours who was grieving? Of course not. You would wrap them in gentleness. You would hug them. You would sit with them in love and remind them how they're feeling and that that's okay. What if you gave yourself that same compassion? So the next time a harsh thought arises, pause. Imagine your best friend or loved one sitting in front of you, feeling the same way that you do right now. What would you say to her, him, or they? Maybe you would say, it's okay to cry. It's okay to miss them. You're doing the best that you can. Then say that to yourself. Whisper them softly, or even place a hand on your cheek or on your heart as if you're holding yourself. Why this works? Well, the brain doesn't always distinguish between another's kindness and our own. When you speak to yourself in a gentle, loving way, your nervous system will respond. The inner storm can begin to calm, and you begin to create an environment inside your own mind where healing is possible. This is one of the most powerful gifts that you can give to yourself in grief, to become your own safe place. Now, I have one more. We talked about this a little bit last week, but this is also a great practice when you're in the process of grieving. It's called the gratitude touchstone. So if any of you guys watched the video last week, you might remember this. So the practice can bring your mind into calm while honoring your grief. So look around the room where you are right now or wherever you might be. Let your eyes land on one small thing that reminds you of your loved one, or simply something that you appreciate in this moment. Place your hands on your heart. You know, it's my favorite thing if you've been watching. And whisper, thank you for this blessing. Thank you for this love. Take 3 slow breaths. With each inhale, let gratitude expand. And with each exhale, release some of that weight that you're carrying. It's okay. Why does this help? gratitude gently interrupts the grief loop. It doesn't erase the loss, but it does make space for light to coexist with sorrow. So as we close today's video, I just, grief, it's going to touch our lives and it's going to touch our thoughts, but it doesn't have to control them. With softness, gratitude, and God's presence, we can bring peace back to the mind, even in seasons of loss. Let's end with this affirmation together. You can repeat after me, or you can whisper it quietly in your heart, whatever feels good to you. My thoughts are tender. My heart is held. I am not alone. So I encourage you to carry that with you this week, a reminder that even your thoughts can be held in love. Thank you so much for showing up for yourself today by watching this video and learning more about how to move through grief in a softer, more gentle, loving way. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. That just helps to get even more people to see this content and hopefully spread lots of love and light out into the world. Like, share, subscribe. I appreciate all of you. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Blessings.